Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios for another edition of Trooper Talk. We have a very special guest today, don't we, Trooper Hagstrom?
Absolutely.
We have
Absolutely.
Trooper Donaldson here, and it's fantastic. And so thank you so much for being here. We have so many questions, both of us. And so let's start off with who you are.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start off with, at the last promotion ceremony, what transpired. And so give us a little bit of background, and then we'll get into some questions for you.
So, like you introduced me as, my name is Brent Donaldson. I'm a trooper here with the State of Nevada Department of Public Safety Highway Patrol here in Las Vegas. I've been here for just short of 2 years. I'll be 2 years in April. Prior to that, I worked in the state of Washington, City of Vancouver, Police Department for 17 years. Started as a patrol officer, worked my way up to corporal in the traffic unit, and retired from that agency before transitioning down here and moving my family down here and picking up working for the Highway Patrol because I absolutely love traffic safety and DUI enforcement. Drug recognition expert, field sobriety test instructor. I just enjoy everything traffic related, so I get to focus on that specialty as a highway trooper, and I absolutely love it down here.
And a little bit modest.
Oh yeah. Let me get this going there, Neil.
How many DUIs has he had?
This is one of our top performers, and you know what? I was very excited to get him on our show because this month we want to explain to the public too is we have a joining forces campaign, the Nevada Highway Patrol, with everybody in the valley, and this month they're going to be focusing on impaired driving. So this works out perfect because one of our top 3 troopers that get 200 plus DUIs. Matter of fact, Trooper Donaldson got 221 for this last year DUIs, and it's just amazing. And that's how well he does his job. And he also made Trooper of the Year, not just because of the DUIs that he got at the high amount of them, but just the commitment that he's made with the department, and also all the other activities that he's involved in. Being a trooper for the Nevada State Police.
When we went to the promotion ceremony, it's one of the things that we love. Okay,
Yes.
And so now we get to film all of that. We filmed before, but now we film it. We make sure that everybody gets their segments. You know what I mean, and all this stuff. And one of the things that I love is to see the hierarchy of Nevada State Police and the way that they respond and they respect their officers. It's like no other police force, because the hierarchy appreciates a regular trooper just as much as they do a lieutenant or a sergeant or a captain or any other rank, and so it's really, really important. And so when you came up and you were there and you were off to the side very modestly, like, they all smiled. Now, we're going to get to the serious issue in just a moment, but let's give a little bit of gratitude. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know DUIs, you know all these things, but you know how to tell if someone is impaired. And so this makes you an expert in your field. And so you get people off of the road. And so tell us about your daily life when it comes to the Nevada State Police.
So currently I'm assigned to Graveyard Patrol. So our Graveyard Patrol works 4 nights a week, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. currently, all across the valley here in Vegas, Clark County. So we get to roam wherever the activity takes us. That's the great part about this job. One of the things that I love about this job is no 2 days are ever the same. We set out to take enforcement action and get impaired drivers off the road before they injure, hurt, or kill someone. Unfortunately, in the state of Nevada, in this area, I think I saw on Metro's tab, we're already at 27 fatals for the year. I'm not sure what our number is yet. I haven't seen the latest update, but it's high. It's not good. And those are lives that are taken needlessly. Those are families that have an empty chair at the dinner table. Those are tragedies that could be avoided several different ways. Number one, the offender could prevent themselves from being in that situation. Simply stated, if you're going to drink or smoke marijuana or even take certain prescription medications, you need to be off the road. Just don't do it. We have rideshare, we have taxis, you have friends that would gladly, family that would gladly come get you. I'm sure if you made that call, far too often we have people that wait to make that decision until after they've partaken in either the beverage of choice, the marijuana of choice, or the medications. And as we know, marijuana and alcohol, predominant, those are the biggest offenders, right? Predominantly, those are judgment-affecting drugs, right? Alcohol's a drug, marijuana's a drug. They may be legal, but they're judgment-affecting. What that means is if you wait until you're partaking, you're under the influence, the first thing it's going to do is affect your judgment and make you feel like you're okay. So if you wait to have that conversation with yourself about being okay to drive, it's too late. You're going to talk yourself into being fine. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can get home. I've done it before. I can do it again, right? And it's all good till it's not good, until you're on the side of the road or in the back of an ambulance and you've taken somebody's life, or God forbid you're on the way to the morgue. There's nothing we can do at that point. Now we have to process. We have to go through the steps and hold you accountable for your actions. It's not fun for me to take somebody to jail and see their life dramatically affected. But it is rewarding knowing that if I do take someone to jail, I have saved a life. It's not a statistic that we'll ever necessarily get recognition for, and that's not why we do it. But it is something that's important to understand, that when we remove you from the highways through arrest for impaired driving, we're saving your life. Because you're never going to know that collision that was waiting for you. And that's what we're trying to do. We lost a couple of troopers, very close friends of mine this year, because of an impaired driver. And it's unfortunate that situation arose, right? It could have been avoided, right? And we've lost other lives. I've lost other friends and family to impaired driving. And it's frustrating because it's so avoidable, like I said, and yet we go every year, and states across the United States are dealing with the same battle. In Washington, where I came from, we were losing 2 lives a day, 1 to impaired driving. So I think the last statistic I had was over 600 deaths to traffic fatalities, and half of them were from impaired drivers. And those are members of families that we could still have here if people would be responsible and take action. We've talked about this for years. I remember since I was a kid in high school, don't drive drunk. I think that was the saying back then, right? Drunk driving kills. And that's another topic. Just if you wait and you reason with yourself that I'm not drunk, we've put that tag on, right? It's drunk driving that kills. Well, I would like to challenge people to look at it as impaired driving kills. If you feel different, if you feel altered, if you don't feel normal, that's impaired driving. So don't wait until you feel drunk and you can't stand up or you can't remember what you're doing. Everybody can probably figure out where they're at that point, right? But if you can just understand that if you're going to go out and have even a beverage with dinner, please get somebody else to drive. Get somebody else to get you home. Allow them the opportunity to help you, and you'll help us save lives.
You know, it's interesting because I watched this program where they have the police live on Friday and Saturday and all that stuff. And last night I was watching, and there was a guy there, and one of the things that we talk about when it comes to the impaired driving is that it's a combination of all these different things. It's not a matter of just one specific thing. You've been in law enforcement for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we talked about before we went on air today, which was losing an officer. And when it comes to the Trooper Felix and the Sergeant Abate, how we made the patches. And you can go onto the IPOF and you can buy the patches, and all the money goes to the family. And that we hope we never have to do something like this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
with your law enforcement experience, you've seen these things throughout your career that we never want to have happen again.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the bad things is since we brought marijuana into the market, and they've stressed about, if you're going to do that, do it at home. How many times are we driving around, you can smell it in the cars? And people are just actively doing it all the time. And when I got on, even 20 years ago, poly drug use.
The poly drug.
You know what? Mixing alcohol with like Xanax and Oxycontin was two of the biggest drugs that we had mixed with alcohol. And people just get messed up. They don't even know where they're at, you know, when they get in an accident and almost kill somebody, or they do kill somebody. And it's an ongoing problem. It hasn't changed. And that's why we're here to try to promote if you feel impaired or you feel different when you go out, don't drive. That's all we're asking. We're not asking you not to have a good time. We're just saying, hey, if you feel different, do not get in a car and drive. And like we've said before in the past too, there's no excuses for driving impaired. I mean, you got taxis, you got buses, you got ride shares. And we've talked about this on the show before, Neil. It's going to cost you around $10,000 to $15,000. And you're going to have to spend all this extra time to either get your license back, you're going to have higher insurance, you got to deal with the courts. It's just a never-ending thing that you got to get out once you get just stopped for DUI. So and then not only that, we talked about how do you look about being in the paper and your neighbors know and everything else, or you have a good job that you can't really afford to be having a DUI. So these are the things you got to take into factor when you go out and party with friends or drink. Just find a ride share or I think any friend would come and pick you up if you had too much to drink. I mean, there's just no excuse today for driving impaired.
So we went to the Raiders practice stadium and we were able to film before the Super Bowl, before the big game. And you know, one of the things we talk about is that Las Vegas is a great town to come and celebrate. Wedding, birthday, you know, all these things. Listen, come here, celebrate. Do whatever it is that you feel like you want to do as long as it's legal.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to getting behind the wheel, this is not what we need. And when you can put your life, when you have the opportunity of your life ending, which is what I want to transition to, which you brought up, which I would love the opportunity to talk about, because one of the things that we talk about on Trooper Talk is sort of to allow a trooper to emotionally release. We have like Joanna May come on and things of this nature, because when it comes to your job, as you know, you can confide to people that are of the same, but a lot of times it's not as easy to release what we're feeling about certain actions that took place. And so I would like to know, because we had Trooper Abate on the show, and he was fantastic, and we love him, and you know what I mean? And so we've learned to meeting his mother and his sister and his wife now after, right? And the same with the Trooper Felix. So you said that they were very dear friends. So talk about that, and then talk about the loss, because we never want to put you into that position again.
So let me start with Trooper Felix first, because we worked graveyard together. And when I first got hired, he was recovering from an injury that he sustained at work. And so he was in the office. And so we shared a lot of stories, and we kept talking about, I was anxious to get through the training so I could get back on the road, right? I have to learn the way Nevada State Police functions, and I have to learn their paperwork and their systems before I can just transition to the road down here. He was anxious. He was always driven to remove impaired drivers, and we would talk about that. We'd share stories, and then when we were both out on the road and working, we'd see each other each night, usually at jail, in the form of processing impaired drivers. He'd be processing one, I'd be processing one, and we'd share notes, and we'd talk about where did you catch this offender and what were the violations for, kind of sharing notes on how to, because it just makes us better troopers when we feed off of each other and we kind of, oh, you stopped for speed, and in this area there's a lot of drivers that are failing to maintain or cutting across the gore and merging through traffic or weaving, and he was willing to share all his tidbits that he learned over his years here, and he was all about sharing because we had the same goal, which was to remove impaired drivers before they killed people or killed themselves. He always had that smile on his face. Sup, bro? He was just as friendly as could be, and he made me feel welcome, and I will never forget that. I see him all the time. In that, I drive through the area where their lives were taken from them, and I fondly have memories of them. I'm sad when I drive through there because I think of the fact that had I been working that night, maybe I could have gotten that impaired driver before he got to them. Any combination of things, we feel a little guilt, we feel a little remorse, we wish we could have done more, we want to do more. That's what we're trying to do. Those are two guys that, they're the greatest. And I speak of them as if they were still here because to me they still are. When I go to work, I'm going to work for them. I'm trying to remove an impaired driver in their name to save somebody else's life. It's not something that you want to look back at and go, you feel guilt over, you feel those things, you feel those emotions, and I know the other guys I work with too, we try to funnel it through and put on that face to go to work. Same for our families. When we leave our residence tonight, the same way they left their residences tonight, we have to say goodbye to our family as if we're not coming back. It's the only way I can do this job. If I don't say goodbye, you don't want to go to work and have something happen and then you never got to say that goodbye, or you left in the middle of a fight or argument, so to speak. When you're having family disturbances, we're not perfect. We have family disagreements as well, right? So to see it happen to not just one but two troopers the same night, the same incident, it's overwhelming sometimes. I didn't know their immediate family very well, but they talked about their families. Trooper Felix, he always talked about his kids, his wife, working at UMC, and just how proud he was of them and why he did the job that he did. And then transition to Sergeant Abate, he got me, he recognized that I was an EVOC instructor from my old agency, and he got me into the training to become an EVOC instructor here. And he helped me get through that training. And then we worked together last summer up at Spring Mountain, training and then running officers through EVOC. And he rode with me, gave me some great tips, and just a great all-around guy. Like, he was all about officer safety. He was all about making you a safer driver and everyone around him a safer driver, and yet doing it in a fun way. His smile, his demeanor, I never forget. And I have a little bit of not the racing heritage that he does. I from a fan standpoint, but he reminded me of a very prominent racing driver in the way he wore his hat and the way he sat in the car and his look. And every time I saw him, we would share jokes about it because, I've been likened to him before. And anybody who knows Sergeant Abate knows exactly who I'm talking about as a race car driver. I don't need to say the name. You know it, right? It starts with a K, okay? So, but the point being is that, he was just fun to be around. They both were, and they loved this job. They loved protecting their community, and they loved teaching the officers around them how to be better at their jobs and to protect their community. So to have them taken from us, both of them taken from us in one instance, in an act that could be avoided, that we set out every night to try and remove those drivers before they do this, because it's devastating. I know my family would be devastated if they got the knock on the door that I'm not coming home. And so I just, anything I can do to try and prevent that from happening to other families, that's kind of the motivating force, and I know that that's the way it is with other officers that are working the road here in Vegas and across the United States. We all have our motivations as to why we do this job. Some people, it's for domestic disturbances. They're really driven to go out and enforce and help those families, and some it's you know, mental health, suicides. We all have our specialties, but here at the State Patrol, those two guys were just driven and passionate about safety, traffic safety, officer safety, and so, you know, it's just frustrating to see it happen to those two guys and to see their families having to deal with something that could have been avoided. You know, I don't know the gentleman that took their lives, but I would venture that if he had the opportunity to go back and change something from that night, he would in a heartbeat. And so for those of you out there that you know, haven't had that unfortunate situation, why chance it? Why risk it? You know, do you want to be sitting in prison wishing you could go back and change the past? You have the power to change it now. You have the power to prevent yourself from going out and becoming a statistic, whether it's by killing yourself or by killing someone else. Don't put us in the position where I got to arrest you. I don't want to. I'd love it if I could go an entire night and not find one impaired driver, but yet I've kicked over every rock I've tried to find every impaired driver out there that's out there. But because they've policed themselves and haven't driven, they're not there for us to remove. That's a good night for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love just listening to him talk.
Oh, he's very well spoken.
Very well spoken.
And he's got a lot of knowledge to talk about. You know, 100%. He's been there, and like I said, this is one of our top DUI impaired drivers. Yeah, I mean, troopers that get drivers off the road. So it is a tragic to see both of our troopers. We still think about it daily. I mean, it's a motivator for our troopers to get more DUIs off the road. But those are people that, you know, and that can happen to any family. Even though just talking about our troopers, he talked about a little bit before, that's a family member that's not going home. Somebody that doesn't go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, a community member that won't be back again because somebody was careless and actually selfish because they wanted to drink and go out and drive, and then they end up killing or hurting somebody. So we got to realize that, you know, I'll go back to it again. If you feel impaired, don't drink and drive.
Yeah,
I mean, just don't drive.
And we found out about that poly drug thing, you know, a couple times ago when we had Officer McClarty here, you know, and we try to tell people that when you do the DUI, you know, you're going to talk to Officer McClarty if you go to jail. You know what I mean? And he's going to say you have this, this, and this to abide by. And, oh, by the way, if you don't, you're going to jail or going back to jail. Or, and it's not pleasant. And so, you know, I want to get to one other thing that's also very important, okay? One of the things that we talk about on the Trooper Talk that we've really been hammering at, okay? We had Whitney come here and Miss Stevenson. Well, Miss Stevenson works, she works in the front office.
Okay.
But she was a dispatcher, and Whitney is a dispatcher. So we're always trying to find people that want to join the Nevada State Police family. Okay. So we've been filming new critical fill commercials, right?
Okay.
With Officer with Trooper Hagstrom and Officer McClarty, right? To try to get more people for the critical fill. Then we just filmed the lateral move. Excuse me, the lateral move to get people over.
I believe he's a lateral move.
Right, and
so he could talk about that too.
So what I would like to talk about before we get to some pictures is this. Trooper Hagstrom came back as a critical fill and has been fantastic for his position when it comes to the Trooper Talk. I know he's overwhelmed, and so we try as hard as we can to relieve some of this stress from him.
A little stress there, yeah.
And help in any way that we can with by making these short little commercials and things like this to help with getting the message out for the joining forces and all this type of stuff.
Right.
We've also now, like I said, taken over with trying to create more of the recruitment videos and things of this nature to try to get people to do a lateral move and things like this. So what I would like to talk about when it comes to you is you said you lived in Washington and you now came to Las Vegas.
Yes.
without getting into specifics of, and I'm not asking about why in the family, you
Sure.
know what I mean? But you came from Washington, from Las Vegas. Trooper Hagstrom loved the camaraderie.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? And so after he retired, we've talked about the fact that, like, it was very special for him. He did other positions. By the way, this is a great segue for this. I got today this great picture.
Oh, were you a canine handler?
I had 3 police dogs.
Oh, my goodness.
We're gonna do a section.
Oh, my
here's what I'm
goodness.
gonna tell
Okay.
you.
All right.
And you know how everybody says everybody has passion about doing
Yeah.
certain things, like yours DUI.
Yeah.
Mine was getting large amounts of drugs off the interstates.
Well done. Absolutely.
Because you know what? If I always figured if I could take that amount of drugs and save at least one person from not
Yes.
trying it or doing it, I was doing my part.
Absolutely.
That was my biggest thing. And Neil, I could bring giant albums of hundreds of pounds of drugs on
Yeah.
different seizures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoyed to do. And I had 3 police canines, but we'll probably bring one of our canines on here and talk about canines at a later date.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to
What
focus
a-
more on the
no,
DUI.
what a-
You know why we're here, but
I will
that's
tell
great,
you
yeah.
the best way. Words can't describe how valuable those animals are
Yeah.
to our agencies.
Right.
We had in Vancouver, we had bite dogs and we had drug detection dogs.
Dual purpose.
Yeah, and we also had electronic device dogs as well. I mean, they're incredible tools to be able to use in law enforcement. And just like, anything, the amount of training that goes into an officer to become a canine handler, and like you were talking, though, about the retirement, I mean, when I retired from my agency, and then I missed it. I missed the camaraderie. Like, I didn't have this job guaranteed when I retired. I had to apply. I had to go through the process. I had to go through the background. It takes time. And for anybody that's out there that's interested, we'd love to talk to you. You can
Absolutely.
contact us at any point. But
I love how he segued in that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean, my thing is, I lucked out because Nevada State Police, Department of Public Safety, the Highway Patrol is a gem in law enforcement because we encompass the whole state. You want to go work in a certain area of the state, you pretty much can name it right now because we're shorthanded across the state. And the benefits that we have over city agencies, the take-home car is a huge one, right? You get to go to work from your residence and you end work at your residence. That's huge. You don't have to commute to work. You don't have to change out in a locker room. I had to do that for many years at my old
Saving money
agency.
on gas alone.
The amount of money you save every month on gas, wear and tear on a car, time I get to spend with my family now, that's 2 hours extra a day. I don't have to commute across Vegas to a station, to a substation, change out, go to briefing, and then hit the road, get into a pool car that's been shared by multiple officers. We all know how clean some of our officers are, right? I have my own car. It's my office. It's as clean as I want it. It's, I don't have to worry about sharing. I get to, it's mine, right?
Yeah.
It's my baby. I get to detail it and keep it that way. And I like my office clean. If you like your office dirty, well, then we'll have to talk. But
That's on you, right?
Yeah, that's on you. You get you.
And that's what I'm and so this is a wonderful area to be in.
Absolutely. I
And
mean,
so-
it's Vegas.
Right.
I mean,
It's a rich environment.
No,
talk
and
about
that's- and so
diverse.
diverse and everything. And so when Trooper Hagstrom gave me this, and he gave me this picture, right? Because we've talked about him being
Right.
the canine handler and stuff. And then he gave me this Nevada State Police challenge coin.
Oh, very cool.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so one of the things that's very special is that everyone that comes onto the Trooper Talk is very diverse.
Mhm.
But we all come together. And so one of the things that we talk about, that we keep talking about, is how to get more troopers on the road. Because one of the unique things is that the Nevada State Police wants to help train
Mhm.
their younger officers or their lateral move officers or their critical fill officers in a way that everybody is part of the family, and everybody it comes together.
Right.
And it's a team. We're doing it for
Yeah.
public safety, for our commitment to our community, where we live at. And like we said, when we get out of these uniforms, we're like everybody else. We have families, kids, and we want everybody to live peacefully and enjoy the roadways without having to be endangered or have something else go on with that. So that's some of the reasons that people get in law enforcement, is to help their communities, to assist people, to do what's right.
So, Trooper Donaldson, I can't tell you how much that I appreciate you coming. You know what I mean? We know you worked all night, and that you come in and you take the time, and I know that your message is sincere. Trooper Hagstrom, you know, we're doing it.
Yes, we are.
Like we're doing it, and we're bringing people on that want to help and that keep getting the message out and that keep doing it in a different way so that we can get a hold of all these people. And so it means so much.
Yeah, we want to get that safety message out to everybody in the public.
Everybody.
And we really appreciate you having us on, Neil.
Thank you.
Another thing is, those looking maybe to possibly be a
Yes, tell
trooper
us.
or parole and probation, go to nevadastatepolice.com. You can look at, if you're looking at that profession, you can come and do a ride-along or sit-along with parole, probation, or highway patrol. And also, we're in need of dispatchers.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking at a great career dispatching, we have some available for you now. So we'd love you to join our team, and it's a great team. I can tell you, it's our team is one of the best.
Second to
Because
none.
we are a small group, but we're a powerful group.
Yeah,
we
100%.
get along. So please, like I said, if you're looking at possibly a new career, nevadastatepolice.com. Thank you.
And the dispatchers, they'll train you.
Absolutely.
And if you want to do critical fill, in. If you want to do
Do
lateral
laterals
move,
right there.
Yes.
in.
Laterals.
And if you don't know anything, then Officer McClarty is going to be there at Saturday.
He's going to train you.
7 a.m.
He's
and
going to get you
train
going. That's right.
All
So,
right, thanks a lot, okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
all right.
All right,
Thank
now
you,
let's look
everybody.
here. We'll see you later, okay? See you later.